Hello and welcome to another live coaching. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm in Gran Canaria and I've been teaching here. We had a masterclass and it went great. So I missed last weekend, unfortunately. But now we're back again and it's good to be back. It's good to be back on the live stream. We've had a lot of windsurfing in the last few days here in Gran Canaria. We had a great masterclass, great conditions. I'm going to post in the group. We are live. And yeah, let's get into it. So it was a very windy, very windy few weeks. I guess not few weeks, 1 week. We had a lot of wind. We had a lot of waves. A bit of strange conditions here in Gran Canaria. Pozo, which we sailed a lot, wasn't the typical Pozo you see in all the videos. It was more difficult. The waves weren't standing up as much, but we went to some other spots and had some great conditions, some challenging conditions, good jumping, good riding. It was a very full windsurfing masterclass. And I'm here for a few more days now. The masterclass ended, and I'm here for a few more days. I'm going to get in the water some more myself. I was in the water today. I've still got my sunscreen on. Anyway, it's been a while. We missed the live stream last week Sunday, and so this is going to be a bit of a longer session. We're going to go through 2 weeks worth of material from the group. And if you are joining us, let us know where you are and if you sailed this week. Say hi in the chat. Say hi in the chat. Let us know if you sailed this week. We've got Jorg in the chat. Hello, Jorg. Said bad winds in southern Sweden. Just one session. Well, you're still getting one session. That sounds good. All right, let's get into the group. Sort it by new posts. Here we are. So here's a video that George Luke just posted from 9 minutes ago. Ooh, look at that. Let's make it a little bigger. Let me check my settings here. Make myself a little smaller. Move that over just a tad. All right. Whoa, look at that. Lots of action in this clip. Back loop to start. And then look at this forward loop. So George, I'm assuming this is you on the forward. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. All the way around. Yeah, so let's go through a little bit of coaching on the forward. So it's a good rotation. You're landing solid, but if you want to improve it, what you can do is take off standing more upright and actually less sheeted in. So with the forward loop, we want to take off in a more sheeted out position and then push the rig up above us and then sheet in hard. And that's what makes a nice controlled horizontal rotation. If you're sheeting in as you're going off the ramp, the sail can get more stuck. It doesn't feel like it's slipping and sliding through the air. And so we want it to be more slippery through the air. And that will help you land on your feet. Will feel better. But good effort there. Really good effort. All right, next up, this is a post from me. And this was at the request of Oliver. He wanted to see what it looks like to get into a lee side ride, going out and doing a carving 360, essentially. So you're going downwind, you see the wave, and then pull the sail back into the tail of the board. You can't really see it in this picture, but the feeling is that the sail is being pulled back towards the tail of the board, and you're leaning over your toes, and the sail has to be very far back towards the tail of the board for this to work. It's a good exercise because it teaches you how to get over your toes over the center line of the board with your body, and it feels great. It feels really good. This is a very fun move to do. So I highly recommend trying it. We got Christoph as well in the chat at Whatell. Float and ride mixed swell. All right, let's keep moving here. So, question this week, Dom Dom says, batten tension. How do I see if there is too much tension? Yes, you should adjust each batten on its own and differently. Very, very important. So with batten tension, if you have too little batten tension, you'll see wrinkles going out from the side of the batten that are perpendicular to the line of the batten. So wrinkles coming out from the side of the batten that are perpendicular to the line of the batten, and you want to tension the batten until those wrinkles disappear. And how do you know if a batten is too tight? The easiest way to see if a batten is too tight is if it sticks. So if you tack or jibe and the batten doesn't flip easily, then it's too tight. If your foot batten doesn't flip, the batten above the boom doesn't flip, then it's too tight. With a lot of sails, the head batten can take a lot of tension, so you don't have to worry about it as much. But with most of the battens, if they're too tight, they won't flip well. So that's easy indicator. And if they don't have enough tension, then you'll see little wrinkles coming off the battens, perpendicular to the batten. We got Matt in the chat. No sessions this week. Oliver requested that 360. All right, now we got Martin on on this funky sub board. That's pretty cool. So light winds, and he's going out, catching swell, cruising. I like cruising on the classic windsurfer, which this reminds me of, which is pretty cool. We got Dom Dom in the chat. Hello, Dom Dom. I met one of your friends, one of your fellow Parisian sailors here on the beach in Vargas. George, yeah, we just checked your forward loop. You're back in Palo Alto, busy. Hope you had a good trip. The conditions you posted, I think that's the hatchery, right? Looked really good. Or was it the wall? Hatchery, the wall. Let's go back, check the video. Was the wall? Yeah. Looks solid. Really solid. I guess I should know the hatchery, the wind. No, the wind is that direction in the hatchery as well. I'm getting lost in the group. All right. Back to the chat. Ragnar is here in Gran Canaria. We did some private training today. Ragnar's working on his forward journey. Made a lot of progress. With the forward loop, I really like this slow, steady progress, not jumping off a fear cliff. And yeah, made a lot of progress. Love to see it. All right. Did we already answer this question? Yeah. No, we haven't. This is a different question. Dom Dom says, does the front arm stay bent? It seems that by hanging with both arms straight, you don't open the sail enough. I think having the front arm straight in the cutback is fine. But I think what you're actually talking about is the transition into the cutback. And not only do you want that front arm straight, you want to move this front arm across your body so it's coming in the direction of your other shoulder. And that's when we talk about this like S shape of the front arm, that's what we're talking about, and it helps to free up the sail. So it sounds like you're concerned that the sail isn't opening enough. Well, if you're moving that hand across the body, it will be. So hopefully that's clear. We've talked about it before on the live stream. That S shape with the front arm moving across the body is going to make that difference. All right, next up, we've got a question from Jonty about fin advice. He managed to get a used 93 liter Quattro, and it has these fins. It's a quad, and the fronts are really narrow. And he tried the other day with a 5.8, and it felt like the fins were too small. Thinking of trying 2 degree Ezzy K4S 10s and MFC rears. Has anyone tried this board? All right, great question. We got 41 comments. You guys are so awesome. I love that we've got 41 comments on this very specific post about fins. So, John T, it sounds like you've got some good support here. I mean, I just love all the answers. This community is so awesome. We've got everyone from Bill Short, who is one of the forum warriors from back when forums were a thing, to Hans Roberts, who makes his own fins, has his own fin company, to Ola, who is the shaper for Simmer, to everyone else. I'm not trying to downplay everyone else. It's just, I just love what we've got going with this community. My advice would be mainly to put in bigger rear fins. I think if you've got, so these are like now 14 and a halves. I think on the 5.8, maybe 16s is where you want to go. And I think you'll get more bang for your buck just putting in bigger rear fins rather than playing with the front fins. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm saying something similar to Ola. Hans is saying, yeah, try a different setup. Round the leading edge of your fins. Hans has some good advice too. I would go bigger on the rear fins and leave the fronts the same. Maybe 16s in the rear. All right, but I want to hear how it goes. All right, who else we got in the chat? We've got Tehran. Was it Tehrana Chan? He says, or she says, she. Is it, help us out here. Is it Tehran Achan or Tehrana Chan? Anyway, they are dealing with a mast issue. And if your leech isn't opening properly, if the stiffness of your mast is different than what the manufacturer suggests, yeah, that can be an issue for sure. It really depends on the specific sales that you have and the specific mast that you have. So if you want to give us a little bit more information, I could maybe help there. But it's difficult because there's not a lot that we can do. You know, a mast stiffness is a mast stiffness, and so if your sails are designed around a different mast stiffness, there's not, at least not that I'm aware of, not a cheat or a shortcut to make it so that the incorrect mast will work. And so basically, if your mast is too stiff, then the sails will feel too twitchy, and you're going to have to downhaul more to get the looseness that you want. And for a mast that is softer, the sails are going to feel like they're bending a lot. So like a gust hits and the mast is bending, the sail is reacting a lot to the gusts, and maybe you're not putting on as much downhaul. And sometimes I'll want to go different than what the recommendation is. So like, for example, I'm a bigger guy. On my small sizes, I don't do this anymore, but it used to be with the Ezzy smaller sizes, and I was using them in really strong winds. I would want a stiffer mast than what the recommendation was for, because I was using them to compete in Gran Canaria, and I weigh whatever 88 kilos, and I'm sailing in 50 knots of wind on a 3.7, and the sail wasn't designed as much for that as it was designed for someone lighter in less wind. And seems somehow in the new sails that's less of an issue. I can use the recommended mast, and they also work well for lighter people. But anyway, what I used to do, because I wanted the sails to be stiffer for me, is I would use a 370 and cut it down to a 340 length. So a 370 mast is stiffer than 340. So I'd get 370s and I'd cut them down to the size of a 340 to use on those smaller sails, because I'm a little heavier, and that's what I wanted in the small sizes as well. Like right now, here's another good example from the Ezzy line. So the 5.0 in the Ezzy Wave is recommended with a 400 top and a 370 bottom, and I use it like that 90% of the time. But sometimes I'll use it with a straight 400 because I want a stiffer feeling in the sail, and so I'll use that when it's light wind, and it's kind of tricky to get going, and I want the sail to be a little bit stiffer, help me get going a little bit better, have it, I feel like it just helps a little bit, especially for my weight, to have a stiffer mast. So then I'm riding the 5.0 with a straight 400 instead of the recommended 400 top 370 bottom, but most of the time I am using it with the recommended mast. So there's some play that you can do with mast stiffness. Again, I'm on the professional level. I'm looking for tiny changes. That's not something I would recommend to you guys to play with or something that you need. But in general, you want the mast that you have to be pretty close to what the sails are designed for, because otherwise the sails aren't working as well. All right, next up we've got this Russian video from Harold. Harold was on our Gran Canaria Masterclass. We've got an ad. We've got to go through this ad. Hold on. All right, skip the ad. All right, look at these conditions. Whoo-wee. Heavy. Look at how heavy those conditions are. Ay, 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 ay. Look at that. I wonder, while we're watching these heavy conditions, if anyone else has experience with different masts or using masts different than what their sail was designed for, if they have any hacks or tips for that. Wow, look at these conditions. These conditions are heavy. This is intense. These are intense conditions. I mean, those are huge waves. The wind is very onshore. The ocean is going crazy. That is not somewhere that I want to be swimming. It's survival at sea. I think it's very difficult for anyone to do high performance riding like this. The wind is very onshore. It reminds me of the conditions that we have sometimes in silt, but this is 10 times as gnarly compared to what we get in silt. I mean, these wow, yeah, it's right on for doing loops and stuff in these conditions. I mean, it's pretty heavy. Look at that. The sea is just going wild onshore. The nice thing with onshore conditions, though, is that even if you crash and burn, everything's pushing you to shore. Um, a friend of mine lost all of his gear on the outside in Handsome once, and he was wearing a Garmin watch. And so we were able to see how long it took him to go from the outside to the inside. And it was amazing how fast he went from way, 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 way outside to the beach. Because the whole thing took maybe, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something like 10 minutes. And he was like from the way, way, way outside back to the beach, because when it's onshore, everything is pushing back to the beach. And so even if it's really heavy, mast high, huge ocean going crazy conditions, everything's going to the beach. And so there's a safety in that. And you have to be careful always, and especially in these crazy conditions, but you have to be extra careful when you're dealing with offshore winds. And if something goes wrong, that wind is going to take you, who knows where it's going to take you. On South Maui, where you have offshore winds, if you break down and you miss the Hawaiian Islands, you miss Kaʻolave or Molokai or one of these islands that maybe you could hit Molokini, I don't know, depending on where you start, then yeah, you're gone. You're gone. So be careful with offshore winds. Crazy conditions there. This is cool. So this is from Martin Watts with his kids. And funny, it's like a wing. I wonder if that doubles as a wing. No, I guess not, because it's not symmetrical. Funny. Cool though. All right. I don't know if I answered this last time. We'll talk about it. So, what are the takeaway? What is the next step from the gecko? I'm not sure what the next step from the gecko is. That's a good question, a great question. I think if you want to keep working on light wind moves, it's, I guess, the one hand gecko. And if you want to start working on more dynamic moves, it could be the flocka. Yeah. Uh, Terona is saying that offshore is not a good thing. It depends. Offshore in the waves can make the waves really nice because it cleans them up and smoothens them out, and it's great as well for riding. You need angle. Straight offshore doesn't work, but side offshore is really wonderful for riding waves down the line. Definitely for riding waves. All right, we're caught up with the group, and I'm going to post some reflections and some video from our Pozo masterclasses in the next few days. We've got some good footage. We had some great effort from everyone in the group. Going for double forwards or going out on. We had a big challenging day. There was really a step up for a lot of the guys in the group, and they all made a really good effort going out on in these almost mast high conditions, and I was really proud of them. So, all right, we're caught up. I'm gonna get some of the Gran Canaria footage and put it in the group, so look out for that. And as always, post your photos, videos, comments, questions, concerns in the Facebook group, and we'll get to it next week, Sunday. I look forward to seeing you all then. And until then, have a good week.